Hey, welcome to the Hardcore Truth with Johnnie O Jackson, and I am Johnnie O Jackson. So, welcome in everybody. In this episode this week, I'm gonna touch on a pretty popular subject, which is what category should you choose to compete in. So important to know what category you're going to compete in, so then you can do the prep work or prepare yourself to compete and be the best in that category. And saying that, I'll go back a little bit, back in 85, 86, when I first competed. There was only men's bodybuilding and women's bodybuilding. That was it. So nowadays, it's all breached out into so many different categories. For women, there's now women's bodybuilding, there's women's physique, there's figure, there's fitness, and now there's wellness. Okay, in men's bodybuilding, there's open, there's 212, there's men's physique, and there's classic physique. I mean, man, they've really done it up and really expanded, the categories. And, I praise, the NPC IFBB somewhat from doing that. So now people have a choice in where they want to compete in. Where, like I said, back in the day, I didn't have a choice. There was only men's bodybuilding. And saying this, men's open bodybuilding at that, there was no 212. It was just every man for himself, pretty much. And there were still weight classes in the amateur level, like there is now. But once you turned pro, it was all one class. Like I said, there was no 212. There was no men's physique. There was no classic physique or anything like that. So, I don't know if I would have chose what I chose if I had, different things to choose from. Um, try to say that real fast 3 times. Anyway, I was aware of, my calves being undersized. You know what your weaknesses and you know what your strengths are. So, if I'm going to talk about anything, we're going to talk about myself. And so, like I said, I noticed that my calves didn't respond as well as everything else did, and going through the ranks and stuff like that, um, it became a problem because no matter what I did or how I made everything else look good, they would go back to that one thing. And I was like, man, they can't get over that. And, I'll be truthful with you because this is the hardcore truth with Johnnie O Jackson. I even, you know, definitely plug them up a couple times or hit them up a couple times with some oil and stuff like this. And only thing that does is it pumps them up and give them some good size, but then soon it deflates as well. So who wants to keep going through that? Not me. So anyway, I had to deal with what I had to deal with. I had to compete with what I had to compete with, and I train as hard as I can, to make up for my weaknesses. And so, like I said, my calves has haunted me throughout my career, been my weakest point. So what I'm getting at is there's men's physique. Maybe I would have went that way. I don't know. Where the lower extremities isn't as important as your upper body, but in knowing me and knowing how I like the challenges, and bodybuilding is the hardest challenge. I think maybe someone thinks differently, but I think open bodybuilding or 212 bodybuilding is the bigger challenge out of all the different categories. I think I would have still chose that and try to do the best I could within that, which I have, and I enjoyed my career. But for you guys need to like take a step back. Just like I said, and it can announce my weaknesses. You can do the same thing and take a step back, look at yourself, and look at the different categories. Actually go into. There's a Johnnie O Jackson Classic every year. August 27th is going to be this year, in 2022. So it's always around that August time frame. So you guys can go back and go to jojfitness.com and check out the years of competing. The competitors in the years before, and see the different looks, what the classic physique guy look like, what the men's physique look like, what the open bodybuilding men look like as well, and see the physiques as well as go on to npc.com, or you can go ifbb.com as well, and check out pictures, of physiques. Mind you, the beginners, I will be a little bit aware of going, to, IFBB websites and checking out pictures, to say, this is the category I want to compete in, because you got to make sure your stature also lines up with, this pro who's been training for 10, 20 years, competing for, at least that many years as well. And you want to compare yourself and say, this is what I want to look like. But, make sure you keep things in reality, and like I said, what your structure and what your makeup is, and, each category and what they want in each category and what they look for, and make sure it matches up to you, well, first, before you decide to go that route. Another thing I want to push forward as well is with the women as well. They have lots and lots of categories, and many different looks. And, I have to say, I help my daughter prepare for multiple shows, and she's won multiple shows, and not, placed fairly okay in multiple shows. Which first look at her, you would think she would win anything that she walk on stage and compete in. But I have to say as well, is she went with what's popular: bikini, women's bikini. She want to be women's bikini, and mind you, she's my daughter, so she's got muscle on top of muscle, from not doing anything at all. And so, I'm standing there looking at her like, you'll be a better women's physique competitor, but because bikini is popular, and, with the young ladies, that's what she wanted to compete in. And I'm like, you can go in women's physique and win every show, because it'll highlight what you are, what you already have, you know. But she couldn't see that. She just wanted to see, follow pretty much what her friends and were doing, and what what they seemed to think was popular. So in doing that, she kind of like struggled and kind of spinning her wheels, because one show it was like she looked great, the next show she's too muscular, So is half a dozen one way, half a dozen the other way. So you got to pick your poison, and kind of at one point, like I said, take a step back, and what is popular may not line up with exactly what you are. So what I mean, guys. Make sure you do that. Make sure you take a step back, look at yourself, subjectively, and make the right decision in that way. But mind you, don't let myself or anyone else, tell you what you can and cannot do. Just like I said in the beginning, when I started describing, the problems with my calves, and how if they had men's physique, and I may have went that way. Who knows? I don't know. But I also said I know what's in me, and how I like the grind, and how hard I like to work. And I consider bodybuilding, the harder category out of all. So I probably would have still went that bodybuilding route, And so don't let anyone talk you out of doing something that in your heart wholeheartedly wanting to do. Because I say take a step back, look at your structure, go that route. But also, if in your heart you're like, screw that, this is what I want, I'm going for it. Hey, God bless you. Definitely go for it. All my luck to you in reaching that goal. And don't let anything stop you. Once you get on, press it, put some pressure on it, and keep pressuring it. And the more pressure you put on it, after so long, a diamond will appear. That's just the fact. So, guys, the bottom line is, just make sure your physique line up with the goal that you put up for yourself. And so, like I said, do your research, look at the different physiques, look at the winners, look at the beginners, look at yourself, look at where your beginning point is, and then, what I mean, soul search a little bit, see what you desire, and then look at the different categories and realize what's reality. as well, and then venture into both them worlds. Because if you go with reality, you know, that one will help you focus a little bit more, will get you down the road a little bit further. And once you get your foot in the door, then you can go left or right from there. Nobody's saying that you can't go men physique first, and then as you turn pro and men's physique, then you can, jump into men's 212 bodybuilding or men open bodybuilding, depending on what you do through the years and preparing your body and getting better and getting bigger, and what your goal, end up being. So it might start out with being, I want to turn pro as men's physique. Once you turn pro as men's physique, all of a sudden, you hit your stride, you start to grow, you start to get a little thicker, you start to be able to get the food down a little easier, things start to click. And next thing you're 212, or like I said, open men's bodybuilding and smashing it. So, you know, stranger things has happened, guys. I'm telling you the truth. The hardcore truth. I'm telling you, stranger things have happened. So, like I said, don't let anybody deter you from, doing what you want to do, but be sensible about what you choose for yourself. And being sensible will help you get a little bit further. And then once you get a little bit further down the road, get a little crazy here and there, see what you can do, put some pressure on it, and see if you can grow a little bit more. And, why not be a multiple category champion instead of one? Hey, stranger things happen, like I said. And now, once you do figure out what category you want to compete in, now we get to weight classes. So that's another thing. Ego comes into play big time when it comes to weight classes, because I'll talk about myself. You want to be a heavyweight. You really want to be a super heavyweight, because super heavyweight is considered, you're damn near your IFBB pro anyway, because you have that size. You just have to get that card to make it official. But it's not like you got to climb up the ladder and gain that size, to be really competitive with the big IFBB pros. So yeah, that's where you would want to, fit into. But in reality, I was a light heavyweight. Of course, like I said, I would love to be a super heavyweight or even a heavyweight, and I could have competed in the heavyweight, but I would have been in the middle of the road. I would have, weighed probably around, the cutoff is 220. So I probably would have came in about 205, 210, something like that, somewhere in the middle there, where, I could have easily blend in with the crowd, and if you're like that, about 9, 10 pounds over that, the weight class underneath you, you rather just suck it up, suck down to that lighter weight class, because once you get there and weigh in, you're able to eat and fill up after that. I'll give you an example. When I won my pro card in 2001, when I weighed in right at 198 and a quarter. My first weigh in, I was overweight a pound. And it's a kind of a long story. I had to run down to the gym and jump in the sauna back and forth until I weighed right at 198. Jumped back in my car, went back to the venue, jumped on the scale. Thank God, just made it 198, the cutoff for light heavyweight. I didn't, want to wait until the next day or try to starve myself until the next day and do a late weigh-in. I wanted to weigh in that night, that Friday night, so then I can just gorge and eat and fill up for, Saturday's show. And so thank God I was able to make weight, right there at the last hour of weigh-in. I ran in and, made weight. And then, like I said, I just ate. And so when I came back the next day to compete, I weighed 217 pounds. So I weighed in at 198, made the light heavyweight class, came back the next day and was tight and weighed 217 pounds. I mean, I can't even say enough with these guys' faces when they saw me walk in and was like, "You didn't look like that yesterday. You didn't weigh in as a light heavy. Yes, I did. It's official. Check it out. It's on. And of course, I won light heavyweight and overall to get my pro card. So with that experience, guys, I can tell you that be smart about it. Like I said, if you weigh 9 or 10 pounds, you know, over that weight class under you, suck yourself on down, to that lighter weight class, because then you'll be able to fill up and be harder and bigger, you know, for the next day to almost guarantee you to win your pro card. It worked for me. I'm telling you, like a charm. So good luck with that, and maybe test it out because, like I said, ego getting in the way of a lot of things, and you want to everybody bodybuilder wise want to be big, want to weigh a certain weight, want to say they weigh a certain weight. Hell, just say you weigh a certain weight. Nobody checks it anyway, and with getting lean, you're always lighter, but you look bigger because of the cuts and stuff like that. So nobody gonna test you on how much you really weigh anyway, unless you're going to a show. You need you got to officially weigh in. Now that formula worked for me. I'm not saying that formula is going to work for everyone. So you guys got to and test yourself, test and find out what formula works for you. Because me going down to a lighter weight class and carving back up worked wonderfully. But if you're one of those big mass monsters that's thick and already full of muscle, that might not be the best bet for you, because sucking yourself down to a lighter weight class actually may make you go flatter than you want to, and you can't, come back from it. You need actually 2 or 3 days to come back from it, and you only got hours. So make sure, the formula fit you. It's all about timing. Bodybuilding, you'll find out as you compete, it's really about timing and getting things right. So ultimately, guys, you guys are the judge, you're the jury. You'll come out with the outcome for yourself, for your future, for your career, for your goals. And so the biggest thing I could tell you is to stick with them. Once you set your goals, stick with them, follow through with it. Don't let anybody deter you from doing what you want to do in life, and being successful in life. And saying that, thank you again for joining me on this episode of the Hardcore Truth with Johnnie O. Jackson. I'm Johnnie O. Jackson. Like I said, make sure you guys comment, like, follow, subscribe. Thank you, Generation Iron, for having me on this platform. This is great. I'm having a good time. Hey, see you at the gym.